All right, Todd, good to see you as always. Been too long, my friend. People in our audience know you as someone who brings the game of golf back to people who unfortunately had it taken away from them. And often it's with military and veterans and things of that nature. But in the last year or so, you've added a layer to who you are and what you do. You don't just support disabled golfers and veterans anymore, and are one of the game's best trick shot artists. But something else kind of came on the horizon, and it's skin cancer. We should all be aware of it. So before we get into this, unfortunately for you, it was a personal journey that arrived you here at this new endeavor. So walk us through a little bit about your personal journey and how we've arrived here in 2025.
So after years and thousands of hours on the golf course doing what I do, I got recently diagnosed with skin cancer. Had skin cancer on my nose. Ended up they did 4 rounds of surgery to rid my nose of cancer, which left a huge void in my nose. So from there, they took a template of the hole that was on my nose. They put that template on my forehead. They then cut from eyebrow to the top of my forehead, then back down again. They then took that, it's called a paramedian forehead flap. They then took my forehead skin, sounds gross, pulled it down, inverted it, and sewed it to my nose. Then they had to close the gap that was in my forehead. So it felt like I was wearing a baseball hat that was 5 sizes too small. And then for 2.5 months, I literally had my nose and my forehead attached. So I had this bridge of skin here. So every time I put ointment on my nose, I'd feel it on my forehead because all the nerve endings and everything were still attached. So it was a pretty intrusive surgery. 9 facial reconstructive surgeries to rid my face of something that was highly preventable.
So, okay, sounds like a horrific experience. And what kind of time frame are we talking here from the time you were diagnosed to the time okay, off you go, you just got to go heal now and protect yourself. What's that time frame look
You know
like?
what? To me, it was just over a year. It was just under a year and a half. So 9 surgeries. Now we're getting into the cosmetic side of things. My plastic surgeon has a little bit of an ego. I keep on handing him a picture of George Clooney. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not that good, right?" But it's more cosmetic now. But I've got to go back constantly to a dermatologist and just to keep, up to date with everything and make sure there's no new developments.
All right, so take us back to the beginning. How did you know that there was a problem, or oh my God, there's something going on here and we got to do something about it?
But I saw something on my nose, but being a guy, I hate to say it and stereotypic, it's nothing. It's nothing. Then all of a sudden it just started to get worse and worse. Then all of a sudden it started to put a shirt on, it would start to bleed. And then it was finally a good friend of mine named Jesse Litch, who was the former pitcher of the Toronto Blue Jays, said, you know what, you need to get that thing checked out. Came back up and they didn't even have to do a biopsy. They automatically said, you've got it and we're going to get rid of it for you.
Wow. Okay. So, uh, really tough journey for yourself, someone who spends the majority of your career outside.
Yeah,
You and I, we love the game of golf. We're involved with it in so many different ways. And the one thing that you and I have in common, spend a lot of time outside.
we do.
So bringing this full circle here from a golfer's perspective, I mean, the golf community is being touched by this on a day-to-day basis. How important is this that from a golf community standpoint that people are aware of the dangers of the sun in 2025? It's a different sun than it was 50 years ago.
Well, the numbers are staggering. The general public, 7% of the general public will get skin cancer. 27% of golfers, studies indicate, will get skin cancer. Now, 27% doesn't mean a lot, but when I say this, one person in every foursome will get skin cancer. Your eyes just got bigger right there.
Yeah.
27% didn't really mean much, but when I said one person out of every foursome, that's when a golfer's eyes light up. And the key to it, it's not the golf industry's responsibility to put sunscreen on anybody, or it's not to make sure that they're applying in that, but it's doing what you're doing right now, and it's creating awareness, creating that education piece, because we're all invincible. But unfortunately, when it does happen, and the bad thing about skin cancer is it's cumulative. So it's nothing that is immediate. But later down the road, 1 in 4 of us are going to get it if we're playing golf.
Yeah, that's a different way of looking at it because I like the 1 in 4. I like the someone in your foursome because that makes it personal, Todd. That makes it
Yeah.
your father, your brother, your sister, your son, your buddy. And now it's like, whoa, hold on a second. Why not just protect yourself? Because there's things we could be doing that I know a lot of us don't do, or we do kind of half in, half out. So, uh, what are the key points here? Like, if you really want to protect yourself, Mrs. Golf Talk Canada has been very good with this. She's kind of on top of this. She's on top of me all the time. Sometimes it takes that other voice in your ear. What are the misconceptions? I'm sure there's people out there think they're protecting themselves. They're not. And
You know
what,
what? There's
yeah,
a
what
ton of
should,
misconceptions, and what I keep on hearing all the time is I know about skin cancer, but I know nothing about skin cancer.
right.
The biggest thing really is covering up, and now I'm wearing sleeves, and actually sleeves are cooler than when I'm not wearing sleeves. So it has the protective UV protective clothing, sunscreen, not just applying sunscreen once a day. I was bad for that. I either applied sunscreen when I remembered or if it was convenient.
Yes.
But it's applying it every 2 hours, and more so if you're sweating on the golf course. And it's hard to do because you don't want to get it on your hands. What I do is put a mineral on, and a mineral sunscreen is more of a shield. That's first thing in the morning, and I wash my hands. Then I'll probably reapply throughout the day with an aerosol, and that's a chemical sunscreen, but it's more convenient for me being a golfer because I don't want to get it on my hands when I'm holding onto a golf club. But now I'm wearing hats now, and not the traditional baseball hat either, because when the guys pull their hats off on the 18th hole to shake hands, you see a tan line. You're seeing sun exposure on the cheek, the face, the tops of the ears, the back of the neck that we're not protecting. And if you're spending a lot of time in the sun, you've got to protect yourself and cover up.
Yeah, I mean, you'd hit the nail on the head too with the convenience thing. I mean, we're all kind of quasi protecting ourselves when the can's there. We don't reapply the sleeves. I see a lot of guys I work with now on PGA Tour radio or other TV broadcasters. We're walking the golf course 5, 6 hours a day, 7, 8 hours at times. A lot of them in the sleeves now. And to your point, Todd, a lot of them have told me that that layer of UV also pulls the sweat. They find it that they're cooler and more comfortable than just the sun beating on their skin all day.
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm wearing them I was just down in St. Lucia. I had the privilege of playing a phenomenal golf course down there in Cabot, and I'm wearing sleeves, and it's 90 degrees out, and it was okay, because as you said, it wicks the moisture and it makes you cooler, and it's surprising because I thought it would be a burden or
Right.
cumbersome.
I hope you take this the right way, what I'm going to say, because it ended up, thank God you're in a good space and you're safe. But it couldn't have happened to a better person than you because you're so good at awareness. You're so good at going, shining a light on something that needs light shined on it. You've done it with golf, with bringing people back to the game, with the disabled community, with veterans, and this needed the light. So you're the guy to do this, and I hope I hope you are
Yep.
understanding what I'm saying. You're taking that as the compliment. I wouldn't wish harm upon you or anybody, but what I'm saying is you're so good at taking negatives and turning them into positives.
You know what I say all the time, and it sounds morbid, but I'm so glad it was so intrusive because when I tell my story, when I spoke at the
Mhm.
PGA show in Orlando, um, it created a little bit of a shock value, which is what we need. We need a wake up call. Just saying stats, just saying numbers really doesn't mean anything. But the biggest compliment I got was you humanized skin cancer for us. And to me, if it was just a little, like most of people out there, thankfully they catch it in time. It's just a little a burn or a little stitch. To me, it was a total facial reconstruction. And that sharing that story, people go, wow. And that's what I want. It's that education piece and it's that conversation piece. And I don't mind sharing the story if it even saves or helps one person.
All right, before we let you go, where do people go if they want more information on this? And what's up for you? Because I know you're flying around doing a ton of corporate outings. I know you're still working those other parts of your life. What's up next for Todd in the golf calendar? It says we're approaching summer here in Toronto.
Right. I just did my first event in Canada yesterday at Glen Abbey. So it is doing a lot of corporate events, charity events, celebrity events, doing a lot of work with individuals that are differently able, bringing them back to the game, as you mentioned. I am creating an online education piece for skin cancer, and it's stuff that I wish I would have known. And to me, that's the biggest thing. I think the golf industry needs to take this seriously. We're all exposed to it. It doesn't have to be a negative message. It can be a positive message, but golfers are facing a higher risk of skin cancer than the general public. And that education piece is so important. And I'm so proud of partnering with Melanoma Canada and different skin cancer dermatologists just to raise awareness, but create that education piece because I don't want anybody to go through what I've done. You know, my slogan is learn from my pain and learn from my scars. And that's what I want people to do is learn from it.
Todd, thanks so much for your time. Great stuff as always. And I'm sure I'm going to see you throughout the summer at some point. Our paths always cross. So stay in touch. Let's follow up after the summer and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Mark.